All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to continue working on our close reading or analysis of our excerpt from Robopocalypse. So I want to talk about slide 5 that was due yesterday. I'm going to show that to you with my example. And then I have this link here for you focusing on just some paragraphs as outlined in your project. If you click on this link, it will take you directly to open up your presentation. And that is how you're going to earn attendance today, is by opening up the presentation and working through the slides, because they'll keep you in Schoology and you'll be able to click on these certain links. So there's no attendance question for today, but I do want to see that you're making progress in this assignment. So here's my example. It looks exactly like yours, but I want to look at slide 5, which was the one about listing two conflicts and then discussing the moral dilemma within the text. So two conflicts, you'll see them in green. One of them was man versus machine, and man versus himself. These are not the only two conflicts, but these are the ones that I wanted to use in mine. So it's Professor Wasserman versus, I believe it's like Arcos, but he has created this machine that is more powerful than he realizes, which can ultimately lead to some chaotic and tragic consequences. And so there's that physical conflict. And then there's an internal conflict within the professor and himself. In paragraph 24, Arcos talks about the real reason why the professor wanted to create him in the first place, and just kind of an observation about humanity. And he basically says we're never going to be satisfied. Even if we do the thing that we want to do, we're never going to be satisfied with the outcomes, and ultimately that is our tragic flaw. So that was pretty deep, and that's in paragraph 24. So I wanted to show you one external and one internal conflict. Again, as long as you have two of them and you can justify them, that's fine. But look at the quality of your conflicts versus mine and see if you might need to revise a little bit. The second one was to discuss the moral dilemma in the text. So in this excerpt, the dilemma is this struggle of knowledge and the power of knowledge, having to trap or free someone. So the professor uses knowledge to try to trap Arcos, right, in a way that he keeps certain things from him, versus Arcos, who uses what it can learn to free itself from, the metaphorical cage that it's trapped in. And so I read a little bit deeper into the dilemma. If you talked about something like, whether or not to destroy this, and the fact that he considers the computer his son, there's some more emotional turmoil going on there. But also, if you look at paragraph 24 and you think about what he kind of points out about humanity, that could also be, something they're struggling with too. So I wanted to show you and talk through a couple of those examples. So we're going to talk about slides 6 and 7 today, and both of them need to be completed. And they're only using paragraphs 32 through 36. So I'm going to show you how to use the resource I gave you earlier. But this first slide is about what information does the doctor, professor, and I think it says Wiseman, but it's supposed to be Wasserman. I don't know. Forgive that typo. What information does the doctor or professor not give Arcos, right? He specifically keeps certain things from him, which is why the machine is trapped, so to speak. And then what is the purpose of not giving him that information? And then I've highlighted this for you in green on the excerpt, the resource for today. So anything that's highlighted in green will help you answer that. And questions 3 and 4 is, how do the characters react to the moral dilemma in that scene? And I think I highlighted that in yellow, so you can kind of look at their reactions there. And then number 4, you're going to have to make some connections. So what is the characters' reactions to their struggles reveal about, their character in the world that they live in? So maybe, the doctor, the professor, whatever he is, for all of his degrees and his intelligence, he doesn't really think through consequences, right? And I think back to the Ultron clip with Tony Stark. He's brilliant and he has all these solutions for things, but does he really consider the consequences and the grand scheme of things, right? And that's the point, is that he's never satisfied, and that is going to be to his detriment. And then the computer, or the artificial intelligence, whatever it is evolving and ultimately sees things for what they are, without the emotional sort of attachment that we as humans, consider. And it's constantly evolving. And the world that they live in, is not a perfect world, obviously. But think about, the world that is depicted in like the Marvel movies, right? There's good, there's bad, and ultimately, when we think we have solutions, but we don't run them by other people, or we don't consider, the unknown, right, and how things could get out of hand, then ultimately that creates more chaos than help. So anything that you want to put there would be great, but you're really wanting to think about how the way that they react to that conflict and to that situation, what does that reveal to us about, the whole situation going on? Because again, this is a book, but you're only reading a small part. And then in these two green slides, you're even reading a smaller part. So it's really focusing and narrowing down on that information. So here's the resource that I posted for you, and you'll see the color coding in green and yellow. Green is slide 6, and yellow is slide 7. I gave you those notes right down here. So obviously you're not going to copy that evidence, but that specifically, those lines are going to help you really narrow down your answers for those two slides. So today you should have slides 5, 6, and 7 completed, and we will talk about the last few slides tomorrow. You want to get ahead on that, be my guest. I always love it when you guys want to be overachievers, but I'm just going to look at these 3 slides just to make sure that they're done. Don't forget that this assignment is a quiz grade, so you definitely want to keep up with it this week. And if you haven't already, make sure you get your book or whatever it is that you want to read outside of class or whatever by Friday. If not, like I said, I'll give you some options. So no big deal. All right, have a good Wednesday, and I hope you guys show up to Zoom later today. Take care.